film friends, I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be reviewing Pathaan. If you're new to the channel, our format is simple. We'll start off with a brief synopsis, then move to some likes and dislikes, and conclude with a bit of deeper analysis on the themes and some of my own original thoughts on the film. For those of you who've watched us before and know the deal, feel free to use the timestamps in the description below. And of course, as always, please stick around to the end to get our FOF rating out of 5 stars. Without further ado, this is Pathaan. An Indian agent races against a doomsday clock as a ruthless mercenary with a bitter vendetta mounts an apocalyptic attack against his country. Okay, let's start out with what I liked about Pathaan. Well, I'm quickly learning that scores and music are something of interest in Indian cinema. Here, we get these intense disaster flick horns with this recurring chorus refrain. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Remember that like 50 times? And there's almost these 80s sci-fi synth moments as well. But obviously, the biggest selling point here is the balls-to-the-wall nature of Pathaan's meleeing. Highly stylized action sequences, sick action choreography, athletic camera work, read tons of movement, and of course, stuffed to the gills with slow-mo. Speaking of this, some of the stunts will just blow you away. Did that man just slide down a helicopter blade? Okay, let's talk about Shah Rukh Khan. Let's start with this. This dude is straight up diesel. His abs have baby abs. Actually, I should say dudes. Multiple. The big bad John Abraham is stacked too. It took SRK 32 years to do his first full-fledged action flick. Now, what I've heard about this cat is he was basically Hindi cinema's leading romantic stud for over 20 years. Making a pivot like this one is fascinating. It makes him a lot like Liam Neeson, only, yeah, the muscles. What else? Oh, did I mention that the action was great? Gunfights, hilariously ridiculous stunts, hand-to-hand combat, and doomsday clocks always add tension and thrills. Yet, despite all the fighting, it is actually pretty well paced. It moves quickly, is punctuated by key set pieces and battles, but has quieter moments to build character and connection too. Beyond this, I just have to ask, help me out here, guys. Is this a pattern in Indian cinema? Funny one-liners, but where the last line is in English? So it goes like Hindi line, Hindi retort, Hindi line, English punchline. Is this a thing? Okay, let's move on to what I disliked. Now look, this may have been more of a me problem, but some of the political affiliation and ties with different groups went a bit over my head. JOCR, ISI, RAW, it's alphabet soup here, but it's still easy enough to follow. The bigger issue I found was the convoluted chronology. The 3 years back, then hop forward, then 2 years back, then back into the present, that kind of movement. We're meeting characters at different points in the timeline than in the present. So then we have to reshape what they know and what we know about them along the chronology that we've been given, which is disjointed in the first place. Some of it was maybe that I didn't catch all of the geopolitical stuff with India, Kashmir, Pakistan, and the paramilitary political alliances. But Pathaan is also full of about 80 different gotchas. Oh, you thought this was Jim's plan? Haha, he's doing that instead. And in some cases, an asset of the picture points us towards some critiques as well. The extended train sequence with Tiger is both exhilarating action, full of frenetic camera movement, and cuts which are so seamless that the scene at first glance scans like a oneer. The only trouble is that as the scene plays forward and the two end up on the roof, it becomes, well, patently absurd. Sir Isaac Newton, gravity, poles hitting henchmen and then never even coming near our heroes, etc., etc. In fact, the entire last hour really heads in this direction, with unfortunately much weaker CGI. The whole motorbikes on ice sequence, And then our femme fatale just decides to become Bonnie Blair for 5 minutes. The rocket-fueled gliders in the denouement. I don't know, man. It's all really diverting and enjoyable, but it's just not nearly as good as what went before. Finally, I'd say that Pathaan has weak writing, but I mean, Come on, this is kind of par for the course for this genre, right? Here's a few dandies. It's time to befriend the devil. Okay, actually, I came to offer you a position in a 6-foot hole I dug for you. There's room to lay down, too. Boom! It's kinda 80s, 90s US action flick one-liners. I'm here for it. And look, there's also a cut-up Indian lass in a tank with a Gatling gun. So let's not overcomplicate this. Alright, so let's get to some of my own original thoughts on the themes of this picture. First, I've got to say, I didn't get all of the context. Pathaan is the 4th film in the Yash Raj Films spy universe, but I haven't seen any of the others. And it seems like there are plans to make 3 more. And I think this is as good a place as any to say that I found American film touchstones all over this one. The crazy meetup sequence that looks like it was a music video shot in Miami by Michael Bay, but wasn't. In fact, this is basically like an Indian Michael Bay film, with all of the laurels and shortcomings that come with that description. There is lots of flirtatiousness, sexual tension, and chemistry, the deliberate framing of body parts, tan skin tones and radiant sunlight, and on and on. Then Pathaan gets original Mission Impossible-ish when they're trying to break into a secure tower vault. Playing roles, taking all these steps to obtain fingerprints, the works. And there is Steven Soderbergh heist stuff here too. There are people standing in rooms and chatting about stuff that is over the average citizen's head. Paramilitary and government organizations standing around and talking in front of computer screens. A lot like one of the Bourne films. Oh, and how about the visual stunt of a sliding cabin on a cliffside? I wonder if they knew. This is just Chaplin's The Gold Rush, baby. But then Shah Rukh just basically bastardizes JFK. Speaking of jingoistic matters, the theme of patriotism becomes really paramount in the 3rd act. In fact, as the action stunts and staging seesaw into ludicrousness, emotional and heartfelt resonance rises in its place. I've now learned about Jai Hind and Mother India. Despite all the pyrotechnics and suspensions of disbelief, this one manages a pretty emotionally affecting conclusion. So, what do we conclude? Pathaan doesn't really reinvent the wheel with its characters or its story arc. It could remind you of about a dozen other pictures, which may or may not be better than it. But if you're here for glorious action, stylish set pieces, beautiful bodies, a little song and dance, and Shah Rukh getting after it, then you've come to the right place. Well, there you have it. The only thing left to discuss is our rating for this film. FOF gives Pathaan 3.3 out of 5 stars. If you enjoyed this review, please let us know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. You can also hit that little bell so you get notified each time we release a new video. Now, this is our 3rd review of an Indian film, and I'm learning so much about this world and their cinema. We'd love to hear your thoughts on which films we should be watching and reviewing next. Also, please don't forget to head on over to FurmanOnFilm.com where you can get your movie fix on blog posts, written reviews, deep dives, and so much more. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Stay firm, my friends.